All right, shalom, shalom. I'm going to start off this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem, Rakakudash, and double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of the great millstone that rule well, teach well, while learn this truth 100% according to the Bible. I also want to say shalom to the elect, the 144,000 men, prophet, servants scattered abroad the four corners of the earth. And shalom to you, Akwaf, which are you few sisters that are sincere in your children. Shalom. And in today's video is going to be titled, The Flesh Lusteth Against the Spirit. And it's going to kind of be building off of this scripture that I got right here, which is, Galatians chapter 5, verse 16. You see, and it said, this I say then, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. And that's definitely what we got to be doing now more than ever in these times, because we know that we're at a constant battle within ourselves, you see, for as it tells us in the scriptures, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against these principalities, these different left-hand side spirits, and ultimately they're trying to make you walk after the ways of the flesh, you see, and that's the battle that we're fighting ultimately within ourselves, you see, that battle between good and evil, and that's why we want to be leaning more over into the spirit in these times so that Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah can continue to guide us, you see. So I'm actually grab this precept as well. This is verse 17. It says, for the flesh, right, which is this carnal, lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary to one to the other, so that you cannot do the things that you would, you see. So yeah, man, like it says right here, I'm gonna grab that. Lord Yahushua said that. This is St. Matthew chapter 26 verse 41, right? It said, watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. And that's what we all must understand. That's why we got to constantly be close to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai and allow the Lord to ultimately to fight for us, man, and put all of our trust and hope in him. Because at the end of the day, we know that without the Lord, we can ultimately not fight this flesh, man, because like I just read, the flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. So we got to lean more over into our spirit. And how we do that? By ultimately, seeking Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai more, praying, doing all of the different things in which it is that the Lord have given us the tools, right, to ultimately to be closer to him, right? So I'm actually go to this precept as well. So bear with me. I'm going to go to this one real quick. This is Ephesians chapter 6, right? And I'm going to start at verse 10. Because like I said, the Lord have given us the tools that we need ultimately to fight against this flesh, you see, to not ultimately to give over into it, right? To not be weak in the flesh, you see. This is verse 10. It says, finally, my brethren, right, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. And that's what we got to do. You see, we got to trust in Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai when these urges and these different temptations and different things may come at you, brothers and you few sisters out there. Then guess what? You got to always have Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai in your mind, man. That whatever it may be that you're experiencing or, dealing with, that is only a test, man. You see? Because as it tells us right here, I'm going to grab this. This is 1 Corinthians 10 and 13. There have no temptation taking you, right? So you don't want to allow the temptation, right? The lust of the flesh to take you, you see? But such as is common to man, but Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, right? But will with the temptation also make a way to escape that you may be able to bear it. So like I said before, the Lord will never put anything on us that he know ultimately we can't handle or deal with. So whatever it may be that you're facing, then you know that the Lord ultimately can bring you through it as long as you trust in him, man. You see, at the end of the day, And what does it say in James chapter 4, verse 7? I'm going to grab that. It says, to submit yourselves, therefore, to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. You see, and that's what we got to ultimately do, brothers, and you few sisters out there, you got to resist the devil, man. You see, you can't allow ultimately this flesh to rule over you, man, because guess what? If you're allowing the flesh to guide you and to control you, then you're giving over into Satan, man. You see, because Satan is of the flesh. He's the carnal, you see, and once you feed into that, then guess what? It's going to pull you farther and farther from Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, and you ultimately don't want to allow that to happen. So like I said, again, back into Ephesians chapter 6, man, because like I said, the Lord have given us the spiritual armor and the protection that we need ultimately to fight against this flesh, man, to not give over so easily into it. You see, to be strong in our spirit, you see, because you want to have self-control, man. And that's what ultimately a lot of this boils down to. You got to pray to the Lord to give you self-control, man. You don't want to just keep indulging in the carnal desires, man, because like I said, we're in this flesh, of course, and we know, as the scriptures have said, a just man falleth several times and get back up, but still you don't want to just willfully just be going off, you see. No, you don't want to be in that spirit, man, you see. But I'm actually get back to it. This is Ephesians 6 and 11, right? It says, put on the whole armor of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, man. Because at the end of the day, that's what Satan is going to throw at you, those different tests, those different tricks. You see those different little plots that he has, you see, to try to snare you up, to get you in the trap, to pull you away from Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. And if you're weak in the flesh, you see, and weak in the spirit, you're going to give over, man. You see, it's going to be easily for you to, give in into that desire, you see, because like I said, Satan knows what it was that brothers and sisters were interested in the world. You see, he might use money. You see, he can use any different type of thing to try to get you to go off of the earth. He can use women. He can use, whatever it may be that brothers, ultimately like. You see, he knows all those things, man, because when you go into that word demon, it means intelligence. Right. So these intelligent beings or spirits on the left hand side, hey, they're working, man. You see. And like I said, you got to be fully armored in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua and grounded so that these spirits ultimately can't take control over you, man, or that they can't control your actions. You see, you don't want to allow these spirits to be guiding you, man. Right. Because as it says, verse 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, right, but against principalities, demons, right, spirits on the left hand, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places, man, right? These devils, these witches and warlocks, you see, Esau, Edom's, sorcerers and things of that nature. These are the things that we're fighting against, brothers. These principalities, these spirits, right? And it says, verse 13, wherefore take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand, right? Verse 14, stand therefore having your loins girded about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, you see, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, right? Verse 16, above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, right? And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto unto all perseverance and supplication for all saints, you see. And like I just read, those are the tools that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua have given us, brothers, that we ultimately need to utilize, that we need to use. Speaking to myself first and foremost, more, you see, especially in this time of season, knowing that things are heating up, knowing that the demonic activity out here in this world is rampant, man, knowing that, it's just a lot of wickedness out here, and you want to definitely have yourselves protected and guarded spiritually, man, because there's a lot of things that are happening out here, man. But like I said, the Lord have given us the tools to be able to stay strong in the spirit, man, right, and to not give over into this flesh, right? So I'm actually grab another precept real quick, so bear with me. I'm going to go to, this is a good one, 1 Peter chapter 5, right? And I'm going to read verse 8. And it says, be sober, right? This is the spirit that you want to be in. Be vigilant, right? We're going to look at that word vigilant, right? On the AI overview on Google, just for edification. I want to look that word up because this is the mindset we got to be in, right? It says, being vigilant means being spiritually alert, watchful, and sober-minded against temptation and spiritual threats, man, right? So anything ultimately that comes at you that's a threat to your spiritual growth and your spiritual development and Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, you want to be alert of that. You see, you don't want to give over into that. You see, at the end of the day, you want to fight against that. You want to try your best to abstain from that, you see. But back into the precept, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, right, which is talking about Esau, Edom, but also the spiritual demon, Shaitan, right, as a roaring lion, walked about seeking whom he may devour. And that's what you must understand, brothers. You see that Satan is trying to devour you, man, right? What did Lord Yahweh say to Peter, man, right? I'm going to grab that. This is St. Luke chapter 22, and I'm going to start at verse 31 in the KJV, right? It says, and the Lord Yahushua said, Simon, Simon, behold, Shaitan have desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat, right? And that's what you got to understand, brothers, that when you're in this thing, that guess what? The spiritual demon Satan is trying to sift you, man. He's trying to pull you out of this truth. Satan wants you to walk after the ways of the flesh. You see, he's the tempter. That's his job, to pull you away from Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. That's why that word Shaitan means adversary, man. You see, so hey, he's trying to pull you out of this thing. But guess what? You got to be strong in the Lord, right? You got to lean more over into the spirit rather than the flesh, right? And like I said, it's a battle. It's not easy. But guess what? That's why the Lord gave us these tools, man. Prayer, fasting, you see, reading the scriptures, doing everything we can do ultimately to stay in this thing, man, right? Because it's a continual fight, you see. But I'm going to get to this precept that I have as well. because this is ultimately what we got to be in. This is Romans 12:2, a beautiful precept. It says, and be not conformed to this world, you see, and that's what we don't want to be. Because if you're conformed to this world, guess what? If you love the pleasures and the cares and the things of this life, then guess what? It'll be easy for you to give over into the temptation. You see, when it comes, you see, it'll be easier for you to lean over into the flesh rather than the spirit if you're still conformed to this world and you don't want to be in that mindset. You see, but be ye transformed, right? By the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and the perfect will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. And that's what us hopeful elect brothers and sisters should want. We should want to do the will of the Lord, man, which is, guess what? Not walking after the ways of this flesh. You see, not doing those things in which it is that we know is not pleasing unto our power. You see, abstaining from the lustly desires and cravings and the pleasures that this flesh ultimately wants to receive. We got to abstain from that. We can't give over into that. You see, but I'm actually grab another precept real quick. So bear with me. Like I said, we just got to, constantly, fight this flesh, man, day in and day out, man, This is Hebrews chapter 2, and I'm going to read verse 18. For in that he himself have suffered being tempted, right? Talking about our Lord Yahushua, because we all know when Lord Yahushua was tempted. You see, it tells you that in the book of, and I'm going to go to that too. That's a beautiful account, you see. It says, for in that he himself have suffered being tempted, he is able to succor them that are tempted, right? And I'm going to go to that word succor, right? On Google, just for edification as well, right? Because the Lord is going to succor us, man, in our time of temptation and the time of us ultimately, fighting this flesh. How by Shem Yahushua is going to be there to comfort us, man. You see, and that word means, right, to provide aid, to help, or to relief to someone in distress, want, or difficulty. So guess what? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is going to make a way to escape the temptation, as I read early in 1 Corinthians 10 and 13, man. You see? And going into that account that I just mentioned, I'm going to go to that because we know that Lord Yahushua was tempted as well, man. You see? It tells you that in St. Matthew chapter 4, right? And I'm going to actually read that because that's a beautiful account, right? So bear with me. This is St. Matthew chapter 4. And we're going to start at verse 1. It said, then was Yahushua led up of the spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil, right? The Lord was tempted. You see, just like we're being tempted. Guess what? That's how the Lord knows what we're going through. And that's why, as I just read, he's able to succor us in our temptation because he went through the same. But we know the Lord did not sin, as it tells you right here. I'm going to go to that precept, right? This is Hebrews chapter 4, and I'm going to read verse 15, right? And it says, for we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted, right? Like as we are, yet without sin, man. You see, Yahushua, right? So I'm actually, and I'm going to read verse 16 too. It says, let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need. And like I said, if you're following after the ways of the spirit and you're doing those things, which it is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua requires you to do to the best of your abilities, the Lord is going to have that mercy upon you, man. You see, the Lord is going to make a way for you to escape ultimately whatever it is you're going through. He's going to be there to comfort you. You see, to aid you, to guide you, you see, to build you up, man. You see. But back in Matthew chapter 4 and verse 1 again, then was Yahushua led up of the spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward hungered. And when the tempter came to him, right, which was Satan, he said, if thou be the son of the Most High, command that these stones be made bread, right? And that's what Satan be doing, man. You see, he come to us. He try to tempt us with certain things of your past. You see, he try to, bring all different types of things at you, man, which he ultimately believed that you're going to bite or you're going to ultimately fall for. You see, but if you're strong in your Ba'ashem Yahushua, you're not going to give over into that temptation. You see, if you're leaning more over into the spirit than the flesh, you're going to resist that temptation, right? And just like this account that I'm reading, guess what? The Lord resisted the devil, and guess what? He fled from him, man, right? Just like in our case, man, when the devil tries to, do things to us, you see, or to try to get us to go off or whatever the case may be, guess what? We resist him, and guess what? He leaves, man. You see? That's why it tells us in Romans 15:4 that the things that were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope, man. These things were written for us to learn, you see. That's why these accounts are in the scriptures, man. It wasn't just in here for us to just read it and not apply it. You see, we got to apply these things, man. And I'm speaking to myself first, you know. But I'm going to finish reading. It said, I'm going to read verse 3 again. It says, and when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the son of the Most High, command that these stones be made bread. Right? Verse 4. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Most High. Right? Verse 5. Then the devil taketh them up into the holy city and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple. Right? Verse 6, and said unto him, if thou be the son of the Most High, cast thyself down, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. And Yahushua said unto him, it is written again, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy power. Right? And it says, again, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, and saith unto him, all these things will I give thee if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Right? Then saith Yahushua unto him, get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy power, and him only shall thy serve. You see, and that's very powerful, man, because guess what? The Lord was resisting Satan, man, and Satan had no choice but to flee. And the same thing with us, brothers and sisters. And you notice Lord Yahushua in that account, he was using the scriptures, man, to fight against Satan. And that's what we got to do as well. When this temptation comes, when the lust of the flesh and all of these other different things try to bother and nag us and, you know, try to overcome us. Guess what? We got to pray, man. We got to read the scriptures. We got to do certain things, like I said, to combat these principalities, man, that are ultimately fighting against us. Right? So, you know, Lord's willing, I pray this video be edifying to you brothers and sisters that come across it. Like I said, it wasn't meant to be anything long, just something quick through the spirit, you know. But to the next time, I'm going to say shalom to the elect. Shalom.